Okay, for this last video for 8.5, this is the bulk of what we're going to do. As you see the title for the third section, putting it all together. We're going to factor out the GCF, and then you're going to see how it's really going to be the opposite of the distributive property. It's going to be the opposite of multiplying polynomials. Very first thing you can see, I have GCF. So whenever it says factor, this is the very first thing we always do. So let's find the GCF. Now this is where I'm really just going to use mental math. The numbers aren't that big. But if you still can't figure it out, you can use your calculator to figure out all the factors. You can use the cake method, or if you want to write out all the factors, whatever works for you. So let's look at the terms. I have 2, 10, and 30. Well, the biggest number that goes into all three is this 2. 2 goes into 10 and 30. Now, I'm not going to have an x with the GCF because there's no x with this 30. So the GCF is just 2. Now, we're not done. That just helps us get started. We're going to take this GCF, we're going to write it, then we're going to put a set of parentheses. Now, since I have 3 terms in this polynomial, since I have a trinomial, I'm going to have 3 terms inside the parentheses. I want to match it up. So I'm going to fill in the blank. So I'm going to fill in the blank, then I have a minus, so I'm going to put minus, then I have blank, then I have a plus. All right. Now I have to match these up. This is what I'm asking myself. Okay, I'm going to go 2 times what quantity is going to give me this. So since I said it's kind of the opposite of multiplying, I can divide these. So this 2 divided by this 2 is 1. And then x squared divided by this, well, I'm just going to get x squared. So I just get x squared. Okay, then to get the second term, all right, I'm asking myself 2 times what quantity is going to give me this, negative 10x. So another way of thinking is what's negative 10 divided by 2? Well, that's negative 5. So I already have the negative, so it's 5. Now, since I have this x, I have to put this x here. And then the next question I'm asking myself is, all right, 2 times what number gives me 30? Well, the other way of looking at it is, what's 30 divided by 2? Well, that's 15. All right, now to check it, I can distribute. All right, I'm kind of going around in a circle here. So I'm going to check. I'm just going to do it for this one. Okay, so if I check this, if I do 2 times x squared, it gives me 2x squared. If I do 2 times negative 5x, that gives me negative 10x. And then if I do 2 times 15, that gives me 30. And it should match up with what we started with. Okay, so it's kind of the opposite of distributing. Get your GCF out first, and then we're going to get the new terms in the parentheses. Okay, let's look at, let's do number 4. Let's skip to number 4. So I'm going to move this up. Now, number 4, I don't have any numbers before the x's. Now, this is like saying 1x cubed, 1x squared, 1. So I'm going to put 1 for the GCF. Now, remember the last video, we found the GCF of just variables. All 3 terms have x's. So I take the smallest exponent, which is this x to the first. So the GCF just turns out being 1x, which is really just x. So I'm going to take the x, I put that on the outside, then I put parentheses, and I'm going to follow the sign. So I'm going to fill in the blank, so it's minus, because I have this minus, fill in the blank, and then it's plus. And then we want to fill this in. Now, if I pull out this outside, this x, what that means is you're basically taking away an x from all of these. So if I take away an x from this x cubed, it's x squared. And another way to think of it is x times x squared gives you that first term, x cubed. Okay, then you're thinking x times what quantity gives you x squared? Well, it's got to be x. And now this is where a lot of students get confused. This last term is this x. So if you already pulled out an x, this is going to be 1. Because x times this 1 gives us this x. And this is our answer right there. Okay, let's do maybe one problem on the next page. Okay, the next page, let's see here. Let's pick one. Let's do number 7. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Focus in. Whoops. All right, let's do number 7. Now, number 7 is going to be a combination. We're going to get the GCF of a number and then also a variable. So let's look, 6 and 10. The biggest number that goes into 6 and 10 is 2. But now, both of them have x's. So if I have x cubed and I have x squared, I take the smallest exponent, so it's 2x squared. So the 2x squared is on the outside. Now on the inside, since I started with two terms, I'm just going to have two terms on the inside. And it's a plus in here, so I have a plus. Alright, then I'm asking myself, alright, 2x squared times what quantity is going to give me 6x cubed? Well, here's another way of looking at it. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then I'm going to take away 2 of these x's from this. So if I take away 2 from that, it's just x to the first, which is just x. And then to do the last one, okay, I'm asking myself 2 times what quantity is going to give me this? 2 times 5 is going to give me that 10. And then since this is x squared and this is already an x squared there, I don't have any x's. So that's it right there. And if you distributed it, you're going to get it to equal 6x cubed plus 10x squared. So those are your steps. Find the GCF first, then pull the GCF out in the front, and then put your parentheses, and then you want to fill out the parentheses there. And then you can check by distributing, it should equal the polynomial that you started with.